Hey YouTubers, this is PC Tommy. I'm doing the commentary section now on my series of trying to get the Bible on YouTube, and if you don't understand what this video is about or why I'm doing it, please go look at my other videos introducing this concept and you'll understand what I'm doing here. Okay, Genesis 1, Chapter 1, commentary video. Basically, this is a depiction of the creation of the world as it was described in the first book of the Bible, in Genesis. And in Genesis chapter 1, it breaks down the first 6 days of creation. The seventh day, of course, God rested after creating the world, as it states in chapter 2, but we haven't gotten that far yet. So, in chapter 1, the first thing it says is that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, so we have a depiction here that in the beginning, at the start of time, God existed, and then God created two places, if you will, or 2 points of distinction. He separated on one side heaven and on the other side earth. And it says that the earth was without form and void, and that the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and that the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So the interesting depiction here you have in the creation of the heaven and the earth is, first of all, that the earth portion, there's 3 descriptions, but first that it calls it the earth, that the earth was without form and void, and then it says that the darkness was upon the face of the deep, so he calls it the deep, and it says that the Spirit of God moves upon the face of the waters, so he calls it the waters. So you have basically 3 names for the earth there. One is called the earth, one is called the deep, and one is called the waters. But they're all giving descriptions of the attribute of this second part of creation which God created, which was the earth, at this point in time in the creation process. And the 3 Hebrew terms for these words, because this text was originally written in Hebrew. The first is eretz, which is the Hebrew term for earth. And you'll have to excuse me if I'm mispronouncing these, but I'm doing my best here because I don't normally speak Hebrew. The second word is tehom, and that is the term for deep. And the third term is ma'im, or ma'im, which is that's the term for waters. And when they use these terms, they're used in other places in the Bible, but sometimes like waters is used to describe the abyss, or perhaps even the grave. So you have this dark, formless, void, empty, deep, nothingness, if you will, that's kind of being described here if you get the depiction of it. And the other thing that we can note in terms of God creating the heavens and the earth on the first day is that the earth was without form and void, and darkness moved upon the face of the deep, but it says that God moved upon the face of the waters. So it doesn't say God was in the waters or in the darkness or in the deep. It said God moved upon the face of it, which, again, from the get-go, he created 2 things. He created the heavens and the earth. So the depiction that I see in this, anyway, is that God is in heaven, and God is moving upon the face of this formless, voidless thing that he's about to call the earth, that he's about to continue through the process of creation to bring into the earth as we know it today. So anyways, this is the process that he goes through. So the earth is dark, void, deep. It's an abyss, it's nothingness, and God's moving upon the face of it. He calls it the waters, if you will. So that's the other interesting note, is that when God created the heaven and the earth, in terms of the waters, it appears that the waters were there on the first day. And then the next thing that God says is, let there be light. So God creates light, and then he separates the light from the darkness. He actually spoke the light into existence. He said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw light, and the light was good. And then separating the 2. So we have this darkless, void, thing called the earth. And once God said, let there be light, which God spoke from himself in heaven, he had to separate that from the dark, void, whatever, the earth that he created at that point in time, to make a distinction between the 2. So God created the light and separated it from the darkness. And then the evening and the morning were the first day. So the evening and the morning, obviously, you know what morning is and the evening is. A possibility that this dark void thing, if it's rotating at that point in time, to be able to get a concept of evening and morning, or perhaps it's just that the evening and the morning are the distinction between the darkness and the light. But the word that is used for day in the Hebrew is yom, which actually they use that terminology in other parts of the Bible to mean a literal 24 hours a day. So whatever the separation is between the light and the darkness, the evening and the morning, in terms of using the word yom, it seems to appear to mean 24 hours in terms of a distinction. So that's why I understand this depiction in Genesis 1 to be depicting a literal 24-hour period of time in terms of the creation of the heavens and the earth. So that's the first day. And then the second day it says that God created a firmament in the midst of the waters. And so God created another separation, not only from the light from the darkness, but he created a separation between this dark void thing that he was calling the earth at this point in time. And it says to separate the waters which were beneath the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And the word firmament in the Hebrew is called rakaya. And the sense of that is to stretch out. They use the word to mean like a tent, or sometimes they'll use it to mean like a hardened dome. But the idea is to stretch out or create an expanse. So God, this darkness, this void emptiness that was created at this point in time, God separated the waters that were above from the waters that were below with this stretching out that he called the firmament. And it says that the firmament he then called heaven, or some interpretations will call it sky. So we have this stretched out expanse separating the darkness that's above from the darkness below, and that is the formation of sky. And then the darkness, it also says, uses the term waters, if you will. I'm using the term interchangeably from what I see in the first few verses when it talks about earth, waters, void, abyss, etc. So the firmament separates the waters that are above from the waters that are below, and you have that terminology called sky or heaven. And then it says the evening and the morning were the second day. So that's day 2. So we have this creation of the sky to separate the waters that are above from the waters that are below. And then the third day, it says that God says, let there be land, and let the waters be gathered together in one place, and for dry land to appear. And the waters, when they gathered together in one place, he called those seas. I guess you call them oceans, but there's a question whether or not there was actual oceans before the flood, which is later on in the Bible. But the possibility that these were just small shell seas or whatever. But wherever the waters gathered together, he called those seas. And where the dry land appeared, he called that earth. And so this again happens on the third day. And so God called the dry land earth, the gathering together of the waters he called seas. He said, let that be good. And then also on the third day, the next thing that God said is, let the earth, this is the dry land part now, bring forth grass and herb yielding seed and fruit tree and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. So God created plant life and herbs and trees and so forth, and more importantly, he created a type of life, a procreation system, in which each individual form of life would bear seeds that would bear other life organisms after their own form, after their own kind. So trees would beget trees, and different types of plants would beget the same types of plants and so forth, which is kind of contradictory to the theories of evolution, but again, I don't want to get into that right now. I'm just kind of trying to explain what the text is trying to say. And so then the evening, he calls these things good, and then the evening and the morning were the third day. So that's day 3. He creates all the plants. Fourth day, God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, in this expanse, this stretched out space to separate the waters above from the waters below, and to divide the day from the night. Let me read this exactly just to make sure you get it. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So again, at this point in time, in the expanse of the firmament of heaven, God's creating basically the stars and the sun and the moon, and giving them to man as a way of being able to set up calendars and systems for understanding time and how time works, and setting dates and so forth. And then, of course, the great light, it says that God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which is the sun. So God created the sun, and he put it in this stretched out expanse called the firmament. And the lesser light he also made, which is the moon, to rule the night. And then he made the stars also, which is interesting because the text is a little bit repetitive in this point, in terms that it's talking about